I'm going to show you how to convert more sales from any piece of content that you do, whether it's videos, workshops, podcasts, speaking events, posts on social media, emails, you name it. There is one underlying principle technically two underlying principles that allow you to convert from any medium that you do. Now, for context here, I have done over 1,200 live videos. I've posted over 10,000 pieces of content. I've done workshops and speaking events and been casted on American Ninja Warrior, done live you name it. I have done every different medium that you can think of over the last 10 years. And this has resulted in millions of dollars of sales in our businesses. And over the last handful of years, I've had a multiple six-figure income, all from just showing up and sharing what I love to do, sharing my passion, sharing my unique message, sharing my story. And so I'm going to show you what's worked really well for me, no matter what medium I've chose to use over the last decade, and how to make it convert. So that way, anything that you want to do, you can know how to convert. Because there's two things that matter the most, at least for my experience. The first is going to be the words that you use. Another way to say this is the messaging, your brand's messaging, the marketing message that you choose to share in any piece of content. So you can look at this holistically across your entire brand. What do people know you for? What do they know your brand for? There's that component of it. And then there's on the micro level, like what kind of hooks are you using in your content? How are you delivering the call to actions? Are you telling great stories within the content? And so if you use the wrong words in the wrong way to the wrong people, I don't care how good of the information is, you're just not going to convert. And by the wrong words, it doesn't necessarily mean you're just saying the wrong crap to people. It just happens to mean that, especially in the coaching space, if you're a coach, a creator, a service-based business, a lot of times what I see is you'll show up, and I'm guilty of this too, and you'll speak more in like expert jargon. You see what I'm saying? I see this in the weight loss space all the time. People will be like, lose weight with metabolic adaptation. And it's like, that might work if you're speaking to, say, very sophisticated people that already understand that. But 99% of the population are like confused by that. And if you, as Donald Miller says, who wrote the book Story Brand, if you confuse, you lose. And so it's all about saying the right words in the right way to the right people. But here's the kicker. You want to do it in a way that positions you as differently. And we're going to unpack this here more in just a second. So that's the first major principle. Is like, are you showing up and saying the right words in the right way to the right people? Because there's a famous marketer, I don't know who said this, but I should look this up. But I just remember the actual bar that was dropped, if you will. It's, if you can articulate the problem better than they can, meaning your ideal client, they're going to automatically assume that you have the solution. And so the first real big key here is making sure that you know how to communicate to the pain, to the symptoms, to the complaints that the things that they're complaining about, to the limiting, to the beliefs that they currently have in their head, speaking to all of that stuff, knowing that what their aspirations are, knowing what their desires are. And here's the secret, getting super specific. The more specific, tangible, and concrete you can get when you communicate these things, the better. And I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to unpack this in just a second. But the second big piece here is going to be a conversion system. You've got to have some way to convert. And so in a simple video like this, a conversion mechanism could be like, hey, click the link in my bio or click the link in the description, and you can watch a full 36-minute masterclass that I did on how to be able to convert. You see what I'm saying? So you can have something like this. If it's in a simple social media post, you can lead them to a longer form piece of content. So in like a reel, one of the best ways that I've at least found to do reels is you can have strategic reels or short form videos to where you're leading people to more of a longer form piece of content that is intentionally designed to connect with people, to convert people. Some people call these VSLs, video sales letters. They could be workshops that you've done. They could be challenges that you've run, things like that. If you are on a podcast, you want to be able to get people onto your email list, right? So you want to have some type of conversion mechanism for any medium that you're using. This is a foundational, fundamental principle. And I see so many people go wrong. They're just out there posting content. They are maybe getting on a podcast. They're running a challenge, but their conversions are so low because they haven't actually dialed in the conversion mechanism. It's absolutely freaking key, especially because we're living in this era of just an abundance of information. The latest statistic that I think was done by Google Analytics showed that there's over 1 billion posts being published every single day on the internet across all platforms and mediums, which is crazy. So no longer can you just like share content and hope and pray that it worked. That kind of worked back in 2019. From 2019 to 2021, mid 2021, I went live every single day. And at the beginning, it worked, like just doing that and not really needing an effective sales mechanism or conversion mechanism on the back end. Like it worked. I would share stuff. I would go live. I would just get into the DMs. I would book some sales calls. I would convert. But around, I would say like end of 2020, that for me at least, it stopped working as well. And I had to really start getting more strategic about where I was leading people to. And so this is where I came up with, even with doing live videos, I would do master classes, right? I would have a series of videos either broken up into 20, 30-minute segments, or I would just do a longer workshop or something like that. And then I would convert on the back end of that workshop. So no matter what you do, you've got to have that conversion mechanism. And we'll unpack this slightly more in just a second. But now I want to integrate the two. So if you want to be able to convert, again, from whatever, and I'm going to give you what has worked the best for me. So if you want to model a kind of strategy, because you could just be out there like machine gunning it, like podcast today, reel tomorrow, workshop on Wednesday. And it doesn't mean it's going to, you might be spread thin. And I think most of us can probably argue that we're not technically in the game to be content creators. Chances are you're probably a coach first. That's what you got into it for. You're some type of creator or expert, right? And that's what you prefer to do. But content just happens to be how you market and how you get clients and how you make sales and how you help more people. And so if you're not trying to be a full-time influencer or content creator, I like to say this is total joke. If this is you right now, mean no offense, but it's to prove a point. Most influencers that are out there chasing vanity metrics like followers and likes and all that stuff because they're trying to stroke their ego, they are underpaid, overworked content creators. They're just not getting paid nearly what they're worth because they're chasing vanity. Versus when you put your smart business owner hat on and you're not chasing anything. You're just showing up and you're strategically generating leads, nurturing the leads through effective communication and content and marketing. And then you just have a conversion mechanism to convert them. It's not magic or anything. You're just being smart with how you're approaching your business versus just being out there machine gunning it. And the strategy that I use is, and then I'm going to give you some examples with messaging and then the right words to use. And then I'll show you how I'm plugging this into a conversion mechanism. So for me, for the last couple years, technically for the last 6 years, I primarily have used one top of funnel platform, and it's been Facebook. Now I used Instagram quite a bit in my fitness business, but then I found Facebook was much higher converting personally for like my audiences and stuff like that. And so Facebook has been a top of funnel. So I want you to write this down. You need one top of funnel platform that you're actively growing, that you're generating new friends on, if it's Facebook, or new connections on, if it's LinkedIn, or new followers on, if it's Instagram. You just need one main platform that you're focused on. The person that chases two rabbits catches none. Is that the saying? And so you want to really focus on optimizing one main top of funnel social media platform. On this platform, at least for me, I'm posting 4 different types of content. Connection content. This is where I'm sharing my lifestyle, my beliefs, my values, like me going after American Ninja Warrior right now. I'm about to be on the show. I'm competing at the time of me recording this. In about 29 days, I'll be going out to Las Vegas to film and compete on the show. And I'm sharing that stuff. That's connection content. People like them. People like people that have aspirations similar to them, right? And then there's influence content. Influence content is where you are, and this could go, again, across different mediums. I could do a video on this. I could write a post on this, right? I could do a podcast episode on this. But the point is you want some type of influence content in the mix to where you are what I call doing mob content, sharing and dismantling, discrediting mistakes, objections, and beliefs that your ideal clients have. if you can address those things and shift their perspective into what you know to be true, tell great stories to help shift their beliefs, to help shift their perspectives, it's absolutely key. The third piece of content is going to be authority content. This is where you're demonstrating social proof. Gone are the days where you could just post like a before and after. Of course, that still works, right? But people want demonstration. Like, everybody's been sold the lies, if you will. And I know if you're watching this, like, you have integrity, right? You're real. You probably hate the fake fitness coaches or the fake gurus or the fake, all that stuff out there. So it's like, don't want to be labeled as one of them. So you just want to make sure that you're demonstrating. And so I love with authority content, being able to interview clients that have had success, being able to show. And before and afters, if you're in the fitness space, work really well still for this. But the more you could demonstrate, the better. And this could even be like you demonstrating your authority by literally giving some tangible, useful value for somebody. Something that somebody can implement in the next 10 minutes or in the next few hours or in the next couple days to be able to get a small micro result. The more that you could do that and demonstrate your authority, the more people are going to trust you, because you're not just talking the talk, you're giving people something useful, which, if you know how value exchange works, which means they give you money, you give them some type of value, it needs to be perceived as useful and tangible and helpful to them. And if you could give it to them ahead of time without them paying you, they're going to automatically assume that when they pay you, there's going to be more value. So that's the third piece of content. The fourth piece is I can't even talk, man. The fourth piece is conversion content. Conversion content. This is, again, it's part of the whole conversion mechanism that we're segueing into. So the conversion content is absolutely key. And so you can utilize podcasts for this. I use workshops, right, as my main mechanism, because I feel an integrity with it. I love to just give value first. I love to solve people's problems. And I just know in the back end, there's going to be a percentage of people that are like, Jason, thank you so much for solving my problem, or for solving a problem for me. Tell me more about what you do. And so top of funnel platform, that's what we're doing. We're sharing things like that. And by the way, with conversion content, it's a great hook, a great angle that you're using on the piece of content, and a great call to action. That is conversion content. And so top of funnel, I also leverage email. Email is so key as a relationship building medium, right? Google has recently done a study, they call it 7-11-4, where they say on average somebody needs to consume 7 hours of content, 11 different touch points in 4 different mediums. And so while the top of funnel is like the main thing that you're trying to grow, email is a great middle of funnel place where you can put your best content there. You could put call to actions. In fact, I've had clients in the past that I show them how to set up simple email, and they can double the amount of calls that they book. They could double the amount of people that show up to their workshops or master classes or trainings. And it's all because they're using strategic email. And I also like to use, as you're watching this on YouTube or listening on a podcast, I've been doing this for years. Long form content, again, going back to what Google said, is absolutely key. It's like the more you can, like, people can spend time with you, the more that you can give value to people, the more that you can build that relationship, you're going to build more trust with people. And trust, authenticity and trust, those are the currencies in today's market. Yes, attention is still helpful, but I know plenty of people that get tons of attention. I know people that get 20 times the amount of engagement and following that I do, but I still make more money than them. Why? Why is that the case? Because I'm focusing on building trust with people, and I'm focusing on just being authentically me. And when you could do those things coupled with what we're talking about today, it's going to allow you to be able to convert much higher, especially in today's age. And that's what I use. And then once a month, I'm running a workshop. I'm running a workshop or a masterclass, and I use that as a quote unquote conversion event. Now, with a workshop, this could be a workshop for you, a masterclass, a challenge. This could be many different things, but you want to have some type of main mechanism that you're leading your audience to, where you can give them value, and then you can give a simple invite at the end saying, hey, if you're interested in getting more help with this, if you vibe with me and you want to get more of your problem solved, or if you want to get to XYZ outcome, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, and give them a simple invite. So that's like how I do it. And then we have one specific video. I call it a micro VSL. It's a 10, 15, 20 minute video where you have a great hook. you're demonstrating your story, you are showing people, again, demonstrating your unique way of doing things, and then you're showing social proof, and then you give an invite to next step, book a call with you, DM you for information, whatever it may be. You can see mine is in the link of this description on my YouTube channel. I always have my link there for my micro VSL. And what you're going to see is a good VSL isn't like a traditional video sales letter. I look at it as more of a video trust letter, like a video influence letter. It's a helpful video that gives people information, gives them value, but also lets them know what you do, how you help people, and gives them the next step if they want it. So that's how we convert right now. But tying this back up to what I alluded to at the very beginning, the messaging is the foundation. It's the DNA of any high converting content. And so how you want to look at this is, I like to categorize this in terms of the narrative that goes on in people's head. And so we have an entire framework that I walk any of my coaching or consulting clients through, and I call it the magic messaging makeover. It's a framework that I've invented. And by the way, when I say invented, it's just my synthesization. I synthesized all of the things that I've learned, my experiences in the last now 13 years of business, and I put it into something that was helpful for me. And it seems to be very helpful for others because it's one of the most popular things that we give. It goes viral all of the time. And so other people obviously seem to think that it's helpful. But I just want to be clear, when I say the word invented, I didn't invent marketing. I just share my experiences. But the first thing with the magic messaging makeover, the most important part of messaging, I don't know if there's a most important part, but this is one of the major things if you're going to get this down, is the struggle. What are they struggling with? If you can't articulate, again, what they're struggling with, what's going on in their life, in their current narrative, in their head, in their life, it's like, if you imagine there's a video camera following around your ideal client, what would you see? And imagine if you were in their head at the same time, what would you hear? What are their thoughts? What are those beliefs? The more clear you can get on the actual symptoms that are happening, right? Like right now I have a little bit of a cold. I don't know if you could tell. And I called the doctor, teledoc, and I was just like, hey man, I don't know what's going on, but before I even really started telling him many symptoms, he started telling me back. He was helping me clarify my own symptoms. And so I was like, oh, I instantly trusted the guy because I was like, he's helping me clarify my own symptoms and he's saying them better than I can actually articulate. That's what you want to do. So the more you can get clear on that stuff, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to gain trust with people. And then the second piece of this is what I call the villain and turning point. In any great narrative, in any great story or movie or book you've ever read or watched, right? There's always a villain. There's an antagonist that goes on the opposing side of the protagonist. And so you want to have some type of villain that you can be able to share in your messaging, in your marketing. If you've paid attention in this video, I've talked about how information is a commodity, right? That is a big villain in this age of everybody trying to post content and run ads and do marketing. Information is a commodity. And so that is the villain in this particular narrative that we're talking about today. In my fitness business, I remember I had the restrictive diet trap. Restrictive diets were the villain. You don't need to do those things. You need to learn how to eat properly, right? I would teach people. A villain. And then what's the belief? What's the new belief that you need people to believe? So in my fitness days, they thought they just needed to cut calories and eat healthy. I was like, that's part of a truth, but you also need to learn how to eat right. You need to learn how to eat the right amount of calories for your body, right? And I would shift their beliefs into what they needed to believe. You probably have heard me do this in this video. Like, people think they need to just post content, run ads, and magically things are going to just fall in their lap. When I'm talking about you need to have an effective conversion system, or you need to have the right messaging, the right words, combined with the right conversion system. And hopefully when people believe what I believe, they can get similar or better results than me. That's the secret with it, is you got to give people your actual belief. This is not a marketing tactic. It is, but at the same time, it's a truth tactic. People feel truth. So the more authentic you can be, but the thing is you want to frame it in a way to where it's not, hey, you just got to eat less, move more. That might not be that compelling for people. Even if it's a truth, You just want to learn how to do it in a compelling way, how to communicate it in a compelling way. And then the next part of the messaging piece is your uniqueness, the big idea, your unique solution that you're bringing to the marketplace. And so with this, what are you doing? So in my fitness business, I had what was called the stubborn fat solution. It was my unique way of how I help people with working out, nutrition, mindset, because their whole goal was losing stubborn belly fat. And that's what I helped them with. In my business now, I have had many different mechanisms and models and stuff. Sometimes you got to test these things, but I have magic messaging. That's one of the mechanisms, the unique big ideas that I bring to the marketplace, right? I have our content ecosystem, right? I have our in-demand model. I have different ways that I help people and that I can communicate to the market, which stands me out. It stands me apart from any of my competitors. And so you have to do the same thing. And then there's more than this, but the last piece we'll cover in this video, so I can give you the 20% that will give you 80% of the results, is how you communicate the dream outcome and the journey to getting there. Most people are just being like, yo, I'll show you how to get to 100K months, or I'm going to show you how to lose 30 pounds. Great, but what happens? How do you get there? People just don't wake up with 100K in their bank most of the time, right? People don't just wake up down 30 pounds. And so you want to have a short-term, mid-term, and long-term transformation process. That's the journey that people go through in real life. And so for me in my business, I can be like, hey, first we're gonna come in, I'm gonna show you how to get your messaging and your content system in place. That's gonna help you start getting more of the right people to opt in. You're gonna start getting more of the right people into your DMs. Then we're gonna really dial in the content system and the conversion process, and that's gonna help you start to convert more of those inbound leads into actual clients. Once you have consistent client flow coming through, then we're going to put on some better systems and infrastructure to help you be able to scale so that you can get to 20, 30, 40, whatever your heart desires. We could just put the scale systems in place for that. That's really what happens, right? And so people can now visually see that, and it makes it more believable. Even if you can get them to the dream outcome, it makes it way more believable when you can help show them the steps, right? So it's like in weight loss, to get to 30 pounds of like fat loss, hey, first we're going to dial in your nutrition, right? Get you on a very simple workout structure. That's going to help you start to feel more confident. You're going to drop maybe 5-10 pounds of water weight. Then phase 2, we're going to help you get into, we're going to amplify your workouts. We're going to maybe dial in your nutrition a little bit more, X, Y, and Z, reverse diet you, whatever it may be. Then you're going to start to shed out a lot of the extra fat, right? You're going to start to build lean muscle. You're going to shed out the fat. You're going to be down maybe 15, 20 pounds, right? You want to walk people through what actually happens, and that's going to get way more people to feel clear. They're going to feel like they understand what you're saying, what you're doing, and that's going to get people over the edge. So great messaging combined with a great conversion system, that is what allows you to convert from any piece of content, any medium that you choose. So hope you found this helpful. Make sure to click subscribe, leave a comment down below. Would love to know. Peace out.